The first mistake is probably the biggest one for me to overcome, and it's also the one mistake that surprised me the most once I started noticing how often it keeps coming up. People don't always plan what they are going to retire to. They plan what they're retiring from. You know, the job, the commute, the boss, early mornings, all of that stuff, the long hours, but they don't plan about what they're going to retire to. So when retirement finally gets there, the thing they were running from is gone, but there's nothing on the other side waiting for them. There's nothing to fill that void, if you will. And that's kind of terrifying, honestly. You know, I've been working different jobs for 40, 50 years, building careers, all of that stuff. Suddenly, one day, it's just going to stop. There won't be any structure in my life. There's no reason to have to get up in the morning. Some of these stories that I hear people saying 6 months after they've retired is that they're miserable, not because of money, but because they don't know what to do with themselves. Now, I think I got a little lucky here, more by accident than planning. I've been building this channel, and I've got some other YouTube channels too. And while, you know, it's not going to make me a millionaire, these are things that I'm planning still being there even when I retire. I plan to continue to be a content creator. In fact, if anything, it will probably get more of my time once I'm retired, not less. So I already have I'm retiring to more of what I'm doing right now. But I don't want to be smug about it, because I don't think the real lesson is have a YouTube channel. I think it's figure out specifically what your Tuesday looks like, what your Wednesday looks like, what your week is going to look like, not the idea of retirement. But what you actually do when you retire, what you're going to do at 9 o'clock every morning or after lunch every day, that isn't necessarily something you can answer today, but it's something you don't want to start figuring out. At least I don't want to start trying to figure that out the day I retire. So I'm sitting down now and I'm starting to work on that, because even with my YouTube channels, that isn't 40, 50 hours a week. So I'm still going to have a lot of other time on hand. You see, I have some other businesses as well, not just YouTube. YouTube is fun. It does have some income. It helps us do a little, extra payments here and have some free money on spending for fun stuff once in a while, but it's not my end all do all. So I am actually working in my businesses full time too. And that kind of really leads into one of the things talking about money and stuff is the budget. And I am doing what I call a budget stress test. What I have seen is a lot of people don't test their budget before they actually have to live on it. It's real easy to put numbers into a spreadsheet these days. It's real easy to throw it into, ChatGPT or some other AI model and say, is this going to work out? And you'll come up with a lot of theoretical stuff. But that's the problem. A lot of retirement planning is theoretical. You run the numbers, you look at the spreadsheet, see a monthly figure that looks fine on paper, but there's a real difference between a number looking good on paper and actually living inside of that budget for a month or two that's higher than you thought. The car repair that shows up out of nowhere. When your air conditioner breaks down, what are you going to do? Here's a real good example. My mother-in-law, I was just over at her house, my wife, earlier today, and she was having problems with her air conditioner, and it looks like need replaced, and that isn't a cheap thing. You need to have finances planned for that. And luckily for her, she's been very, very smart with her money. She has that emergency contingency money put away, so she's going to be able to replace that air conditioning unit, and it's near 100 degrees every day right now. So what I'm trying to do, and I'll be honest, this is more of a plan than a habit right now, but we are trying to actually live on our projected retirement budget for a month or two so we can see if it's actually going to work. Now, there's some things that won't be necessarily in our budget when we retire, and we'll talk about some of that here in just a little bit. But we want to set some things aside and make sure that not having a paycheck isn't going to break us once retirement does come around. Because if something is going to break, if something's going to break down, my air conditioning, a car, the refrigerator, whatever, I need to have plans for that. I need to know. And that's one of the things that we already have. We have a fairly healthy emergency contingency fund, but that's really primarily been focused on paying the bills, keeping the lights on, things like that. Now, we could always go into that for other things too, but we're probably going to have to start leaning towards even having more in savings for more emergency plan. The other thing that I'm really worried about and I'm working on is the actual timing of Social Security. And you will see all kinds of videos. You'll hear all kinds of great advice out there. Should you retire at 62, at 63, at 65? At 67, at 70, whatever. My plan right now, what's going to work for me in my plan is to retire at 67 at the full retirement age. No reductions, no penalties. I'm going to get my full Social Security. At that point, I'm looking at somewhere around, I think, $3,000 a month from Social Security alone. Now you add in my Roth IRA and whatever's still coming in from the YouTube side of things, the math does work. But here's the mistake that I keep seeing other people do. People treat 67 or 62 or 70 like it's just a date calendar, not a decision with real trade-offs, and there are real trade-offs. And the thing I keep going back and forth on is, what if I don't fully stop at 67? What if I stay working part-time, keep some income coming in, and let that benefit keep building a little longer? Every extra year you wait past full retirement age, that monthly number goes up permanently for the rest of your life. If I was to wait till I am 70, I believe my monthly pay would go up, my monthly Social Security would go up about $500 a month. So I don't have this one fully decided, and honestly, I think that's the most useful thing that I could say out loud right now instead of pretending that I've got it all figured out. The mistake isn't picking the wrong age. The mistake is not treating it like a decision at all. Now, if you're finding any value right now in this video and what I'm talking about, please go down, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. That really will help the channel out a lot. Now, the fourth mistake, and this one doesn't get talked about as much as all the money stuff, but it comes up constantly, stories from people who are actually retired. And I've talked to a lot of friends who are retired, and I hear this too, and that's losing your social structure without realizing that what the job was providing. You don't think of work as a social system while you're working every day. You just go to work and you work. But there's a whole layer of relationships, casual conversations, people you see every day without even trying. You start to build those relationships. And when the job goes away, all of that goes with it. And a lot of people don't notice that big void in their life till it's already there. Yeah, I know that you're going to talk to all the coworkers and everyone's going to say, yeah, we're gonna keep in contact, we're gonna go out, we're gonna have a beer, and we're gonna have lunch, and we're gonna play golf, and we're gonna do whatever. But in reality, what I hear all the time is that starts to fade away after a while because you're no longer in their life every day. They may have another 2 years, 5 years, 10 years before they retire, so they don't see you. And out of sight is out of mind many times, especially in our social system today. And this one actually does worry me a little more than the others because of what I do in my regular work and as a content creator. I'm not in an office. I'm not around a team every day already. So I'm not losing a lot of built-in social contact, but I do belong to some professional associations that are related to my full-time work that I do in my my business. And once I'm not running those businesses, once I'm not working those jobs, then those social clubs, if you will, that I go to, I will no longer be going there. And I do intend, hopefully, to keep those relationships that I've built, but will it really happen? Because I'm going to be the guy not doing it anymore, and everyone else are the people that are still doing it. So honestly, it's something that I need to sit down and I need to take some time and really think about it. How am I going to continue a healthy social network? Now, I'm not a big social butterfly or anything like that, but I do like having friends and having comrades and people to talk to and stuff. One of the things that I know I'm going to probably do is get more involved with my church. I already do some volunteer work with my church, and I plan to probably do even more of that. So I will replace one social group with another social group in my life. The one big mistake that I always see, this one has some real numbers attached to it for most people, and that is getting your finance in place. And for us, a big thing is getting our mortgage paid off. We are not going to be retiring with a mortgage. That's definitely one thing that we have decided. So when I hit 67, if there's still a mortgage, well, I guess not going to be retiring at that particular time. We refied with a 15-year mortgage about 6 or 7 years ago. We've been putting a lot of extra money on it, about $1,100 a month. So hopefully it's going to be paid off in 2 years. We're essentially cutting that mortgage in half, which is a really good thing. And I suggest you look at doing things like that because that's big. You don't want to have that huge mortgage payment. And because we've been paying so much extra, when I retire, there's that entire mortgage and that extra that we've been paying that we won't be going out anymore that we'll be able to kind of count on. But on the other hand, I'll have to pay for the insurance directly because that's built into my mortgage. I'll have to pay for the property tax directly because that is built into my mortgage. So I have to keep all of that stuff in mind as I plan financially. My plan is my plan, but life happens when life happens. Something could come up in the next year that eats into that extra payment. Something may come up and I'm not able to make that extra payment for a while. So it may not be 67, it may be 68, it may be 69, it may be 70. I don't know, but that's the plan, and I'm going to keep pushing for the plan, but I need to know in my mind that 67 may not be the magic number. So that's the 5 big things that I'm really worried about, the big mistakes I'm trying to avoid right now. Retiring from a job instead of to something, not stress testing my budget before it actually becomes, well, the big budget, not having timing properly for security, and there's a lot of planning that goes with that, losing my social structure because I no longer have those connections that I have at work, and the finances, getting that mortgage paid off. 2 years, roughly right now, 2 years if everything holds out. I don't know that it will, but that's when I am planning retiring. Now, if you've already retired and one of these hit different than I think it will, or one of these hits even more stronger with you, I would really like to know. Go down and drop it in the comments down below. And if you're somewhere in this same stretch, if you're trying to actually plan instead of hope, stick around. I'm going to keep talking about topics just like this in future videos.